Hi everyone, it's me. I'm back with another live stream video. I've started to get really excited about doing these every week. Actually, I couldn't sleep one day, so I woke up and made some thumbnail art, and I was really proud of that. And so I set that up with today's video. Hopefully, it works out. Um, and try and use that template for in different ways. I plan to do some videos every few days, probably 3 times a week or so, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday maybe. And those are the easiest days for me. I'm streaming today with a new microphone, so I'm really excited about that. I'm using it now, so hopefully you can hear a little bit of difference. I noticed that there's a big echo going on, and that's because the room I'm in is actually rather large and it's underground. So I'm uh, dealing with that. Maybe if I talk closer and more carefully, then it will be a better situation for the audio. But anyways, I'm really excited for today. I want to get back into the story about Boris. But before we do that, I want to do a little bit of preamble. Uh, I see someone is watching me, and that's really cool. Thank you for checking in on the new live stream. Uh, Let me know if you uh, want me to do anything specific. Probably won't do it, but I'm just gonna do the Boris story. Some people have already read some of it. Some of my friends or family have read it. And actually, I was given a lot of good feedback about it. So I want to go ahead and get into that. So here we are on Boris, the Battle Mage. Before I get into that, actually, let me see if I can make this smaller so I can see the chat. Oh, that's going to be really weird. I should get 2 screens. Actually, there's a screen next to me that I can use. I just have to connect it. So I'll do that next time. Um, I can see myself, but oops, go back. Oh no, what did I just do? Oh, it's still streaming, I guess? I guess it's still going on. I just pressed something and went to another page, and I was like, "Oh no, I've ended my stream." That's really wild. I haven't done that before. Anyways, I probably won't click too many other things for today, but I'm just gonna keep this down in a little box on the bottom and just go to the easy edit. No, I called it easy edit on the first video, but it's actually called smart edit, which I was saying I would rather have a smart editor than an easy editor. Some things that I don't know how to do, some functions, but I really like this so far. I like Scrivener a lot, but I haven't purchased it yet. Probably gonna do that for the main project that I'm working on, maybe down the road. But for now, this is gonna be fine. The little lightweight, simple editors is fine. Um, if there's too much echo, maybe someone can tell me in the comments sometime. Thank you for letting me know that the stream is still going on. I'm glad to hear that. I don't have to start over. But I was streaming earlier thinking that I was online, but it wasn't live. So now it's live. Now here we are. Let's get started. Um, I've got my headphones, I've got my mic, I've got my mouse, I've got my keyboard, my little Bluetooth keyboard. I'm really proud of this thing. My friend went with me to get this. It's really cheap, but it gets the job done, and it's a little bit quieter, I think, than my laptop, especially now that I have my new microphone. I'm not sure if you can hear it. Let's try. Maybe I can check that later. I'm going to do some spaces. Can you hear the space bar? Maybe it's louder because it's on the table, the same table as the microphone. If I move the microphone, I'm not sure if it will sound worse. Maybe I'll try that next time after this time's attempt with the microphone. All right, so where are we at with Boris? Actually, I didn't pull up the picture like I did last time. I'd like to do that if I can. I need to open my photos, and I have that in my writing folder. Yes, Boris. Hello, Boris. Oh, that's not it. Streaming maybe. Pics. Where'd Boris go? The interesting thing about Boris is that he is going to be. Uh, I'm getting someone. Well, someone's doing some art for me. Oh, it did automatically stream the photo that I opened, which is really cool because now I don't have to deal with that. But it is a little bit too big, so I'm gonna make it smaller over there. All right, and then I'm not sure if it's covering my face now. Yeah, it is, but I moved it up. Hopefully it'll go up a little bit. Thank you for watching me. If you need to go, that's fine. Appreciate your time. Oh, I made it smaller. That works perfectly. Okay. So there's Boris. That is some picture I got on Google of a battle mage, typical fantasy fiction art. And the exciting thing for me is that I'm getting some art, some first I'm getting a fan art, which I actually gave me the idea of asking someone who's a good friend of mine and but lives in the U.S. and it's hard to connect with them, but they are creating a well, I'm doing they're doing some commission art, is I guess is what you say, and I've commissioned some art for some of my characters, which reminds me I need to go ahead and make the character description sheet sometime to send to that friend. Although I don't think I'll do that on stream. Some of my ideas are a little too personal right now. Like I don't want to get things stolen. I don't know if that would happen, but I don't want to, put everything, put all my cards on the table, so to speak, keep some things close to my chest and hopefully not, get anything stolen. Although that maybe that's why people don't do a lot of creative writing live streams because then maybe their stories would be taken. I'm not so worried about that with Boris since it's already been looked at by editors and stuff. So um, it's probably not a big deal. I've got proof that it's mine, that I had it, 2 years ago and everything. But anyways, enough of that. Whatever happens with Boris, whether he sticks around in my computer or gets taken, maybe someone will make a really good story with him, and I can say, "Hey, that was my character. I made that guy," and maybe they would totally ruin it though, so that would suck. But whatever the case, here we are with Boris. I was reading last time the beginning of the story here. I read the first couple paragraphs. He was uncomfortable because he has to go to the bathroom, and I've shown that in my new live stream thumbnail. So, anyways, here we are. I'm just gonna do maybe a 30-minute stream of this to continue. Yeah, I did 3 paragraphs, I guess. So I'm gonna go through it first. That's the beginning plan. So this is writing and editing and chatting. Another day I plan to stream storyboarding for another story I have, a more futuristic story, not fantasy fiction set in our present world, but actually not our present, in the future of our world, not a fantasy world that I'm creating. So that story would be cool. I thought of that some nights ago, and I started storyboarding with that. So I'm going to try and stream some of that maybe on Saturdays. We'll do storyboard Saturday. But for now, I like to do editing with Boris. So without further ado, again, let's get into it. Boris wore the flowing silken robes of magical order. I was discussing the robes with my friend who's gonna do some of the art. He's got a belt and a breastplate and everything, so he's all set for war, for battle, anyways. All right, so I really should not have drunk all that ale last night, Boris continued to think to himself as he reminisced about the wild exchange of coin for beverage he had engaged in at the famously boisterous Glib Garland Inn and Tavern just outside of town. So that's where we left off last time, and we'll go to the next one. He had woken late in the day with a headache the size of a gargoyle's gut and realized that there was little time for eating, much less for a shower to wash away the stink, but thankfully a bit of magic could deal with such mere mortal inconveniences. Still, While something could be done for the stinks, supreme arcane artist, or not messing around with one's innards, magically was usually avoided. Boris was no lowly farmer or service wench. He was trained in spells of many degrees, and he wielded a scimitar to boot. Now, let me stop there and discuss a little bit. I've got Boris here. I'm trying to express that he's a little bit proud about his station in life. And I don't think I do very well with this draft. So in draft 3, I'm going to try to, maybe I can move draft 1 over there. No, there we go. So in draft 1, it just told me, I just said what he was doing. And in draft 3, I've gone and said some of the things he's thinking, which I think is a big improvement. But one thing that I want to do more of is describe where he's from, where he's at, and what his thoughts are on his current quest, because I haven't expressed very well what exactly is the, like, what I just said, what he's thinking about everything. And I want to get that out as part of the story. I think now this story is only 3,200 words. Yeah, there it is, 3,254 words, which is not bad for a chapter. It's actually quite good, but I'd like to maybe remove some things and add a bit more, which is exactly what you do as you edit. So I probably won't edit right now or maybe even today, but we should get through the story first so that you guys can understand exactly what I'm going to be doing with this story. So he has a scimitar. He's a battle mage. He uses magic and weapons, and that's what really just is the essence of what he is. And I think that's really cool. I like wizards and stuff, but at the same time, like I said last time, they're really kind of weak. But a battle mage, someone who's ready to get in and fight with their sword at the same time as using their magic, which you'll see a little bit of later in the story, actually much later towards the end of this story. So I call it a story and I call it a chapter. I'm pretty sure, I'm 99% sure I'm going to use this as a chapter in my larger project, not as just a standalone short story, although both seem pretty good. He's not really required for the larger project, as you'll see, but he is, the story of Boris is a great sort of introduction to the world that I'm creating. So there's ale, there's taverns, there's towns, there's the clergy, there's government. Actually, we'll get into the government issues later on. So right now, let me read on. Boots. His boots were plodding along below his wagging, swishing belly full of processed ale as he picked his way along the uneven paths of the town, avoiding a worker lugging a ladder, a farmer with a puffing pipe, and a wagon full of what appeared to be turnips. I sure hate turnips, Boris continued to think. Too dry to enjoy without a good drink. But oh, how drinks made him remember just how badly he needed to deal with his overwhelming need to relieve himself. So he really has to relieve himself. I don't mean to be crude here. I'm just trying to express a sense of urgency, which I could probably do without this whole bit with the bathroom, and just throw in that he's trying to get to where he's going urgently because he was summoned long ago, and they don't even, like, there's no cell phones in this world, right? There's no radio or anything. So there's no way of knowing. Maybe they could have used magic or something. That could be something I add later. I do have one sort of quasi wizard in the world, but he's more of a scientist, more of an alchemist than a wizard. Really, not a true magic user. But there might be some place for a magic sort of communication system. Although I don't really like that because it just is too convenient. I like realism. Um, Although it's fantasy, right? So what's real? But anything I say goes. So we'll see. We'll think about that. I wouldn't have thought of that if I had been live streaming. I wouldn't have thought of, he could just use magic to somehow communicate with the people who want to hire him, or the company he works for could be communicating with the clergy or whatever. So they tell him later. They tell Boris later when he meets with them that they weren't sure if anyone answered their summons, but here he is. So that could be the reason he's urgent. moving to get to the I gotta call it something, the church, I guess. I don't want to call it a church because it's not like real world, a religion where they have a church where people go to worship. Actually, I'm wrong. That's exactly what it is. So it's kind of like a church. Um, I talk about that in the description later of the building that he enters. But let's read about his. In draft three, we'll go with the bathroom idea. In draft four, we'll see how it goes. Maybe some people will say, "Oh, I don't like the bathroom idea," and some people will be like, "Oh, yeah, it's great." Um, and I'll decide at the end if we keep the. Well, let's see how it goes. No manager here. Oh wait, I got to read this first. But oh, how drinks made him need. Anyways, he abandoning his hope of reaching his meeting on time. Boris barged into the front doors of a tannery and demanded to see the manager. Now I get a little funky with the words here. I was really proud of it when I wrote it. I don't know if it goes over with readers or viewers. I guess I would call you guys, but um, let's read it and see what happens. No manager here, an overly tan tanner began, but the battle mage pushed past on his way to the back of the compound, searching for that special place where he could finish his business before getting to the real business at hand, the business with the hierarchy, which to which so desperately needed his invaluable services. So again, he's proud. His services are invaluable. He is urgently trying to get there, but there's even more urgency because he has to go to the bathroom. So it all kind of says it here. He's proud. He has to go to the bathroom. So if you've ever been in a situation where, like maybe after a long movie, you drank a Coke and you had to go to the bathroom really bad, you just beeline towards the bathroom. You don't think about, uh, you know, whatever else is going on in your life. You just got to go to the bathroom. It's so demanding. It's a physical requirement. You got to relieve yourself. So, without getting into that too far, it's a good example. I was watching maybe it was Batman or something in the film, and I just had to go so bad. But it was such a great film. The Dark Knight Rises, I think it was, or whatever the third one is with Bane. Anyways, I was really enjoying that film, and then I had to go so bad because I had drunk a whole. Anyways, that may be where this idea came from, and I felt, you know, kind of a connection with this. And he's urgently. So here's a little bit of the wordplay. An overly tan tanner began. Now, I like this. I haven't read this kind of writing in other things where the sentence itself rhymes in each word. Tan tanner began, pushed past. Now, I probably am not doing it enough to make it a thing, but I want to do it more if I'm going to keep it or remove it entirely. You guys let me know if you like it or don't, and you can write it in the comments. Or I don't really know how to communicate with my viewers if there are any ever, but if you want to write in the comments, yes, I like the wordplay. No, I don't like the wordplay. Something like that would be great. Some good feedback for me to look at. Or just put it in the chat, or go to my YouTube channel and write it in the discussion. I don't like the way you do the wordplay. You shouldn't have so much rhyming. It doesn't work with a fantasy fiction novel. Or you can say, oh my goodness, it's the biggest thing this year. It's the best thing, you know, or whatever in between. As you can see, my mind goes many places, and that's kind of why I like to write, because it helps me get it out. So let's move on to the next paragraph here. Finally, the heinous aroma of previous discharges assaulted the mage's nose as he arrived to a wooden shack at the rear of the tannery compound, into which he hurriedly backed, latching the door faster than he had. All right, I got to read this again. Into which he hurriedly backed, latching the door faster than any latch had been latched before. Again, wordplay. Not really wordplay, but just some, I don't know what to call it other than wordplay, but it's just like a little bit of rhyming, similarity, synonyms, things. I guess latch and latch, the verb and the noun are the same thing, but just different forms, right? But I think it works. You let me know. Once the door was secured, Boris found himself hastily seating and depleting. Another example, seating and depleting his processed ale reserves. Now, I keep saying now because I just want to pause here and let you know I'm not reading my story as I talk about it. I'm not reading what I've written. I'm telling you what I think about it. Here, Boris, it does get a little crude. He relieves himself. I'm trying to use good, solid, older words like reserves. Like, that's a little funny to me that someone would imagine their digested liquids as reserves. Like, no one would think that. I mentioned earlier, they don't, in this world, you shouldn't use magic to deal with your bowels. So um, he has to go to the bathroom just like anyone else. And I've read a lot of fantasy fiction lately where they don't mention eating very much, although there's a little bit, if it moves the story along, people sitting down for a meal and discussing the plot or whatever. But what I definitely don't see is um, people going to the bathroom much. Although in one specific book by an author that I really am very into, a very great fantasy fiction author, I'm sure you probably know who he is, an American author, uh, kind of rotund, uh, pumps books out every year, amazing guy. Um, I, I appreciate all that he's doing with this genre. Anyways, I did read of a scene in one of his stories where he was discussing going to the bathroom in a full suit of armor. And I thought that was just really special that he would mention it and that, you know, like I said earlier, I'm really into realism. I'm really into what's really going on in people's lives and people have to go to the bathroom. So, without talking about it too much, because it kind of stops here in the story, anyways, I'm probably not going to talk about the bathroom much more. But after a few minutes of pure, freeing relaxation, Boris was able to rise and bumble to get his armor fastened properly. Now, again, he's wearing armor. He probably had to deal with all of that in, so just think a porta potty made out of wood, right? A regular old, with the moon on the door, kind of, what's that called? Um, it's not a porta potty when it's built into the ground, right? It's called a outhouse. Got it. I haven't seen an old western for a long time, but you'll see outhouses in old westerns a lot. Spaghetti westerns or whatever. People sitting, and then the door swings open, and they're like, "I'm trying to go to the bathroom here," and then, they shoot them or whatever. There's some outhouses in the old west because plumbing was not a thing back then. But in fantasy fiction, you can make whatever you want, and I've made it to where in my world there is plumbing, but only within the confines or within the upper class. So there's classes in my world, low class workers, shepherds and field workers and things like that. And then there's the middle class, which are like shopkeepers and merchants and things. Some people who do deliveries with their wagons or whatever. I guess middle class is kind of like low class, but they usually have houses in town, whereas the shepherds and field hands and farmers and stuff have their houses out in the fields, which makes sense. I guess lumberjacks maybe have their houses in town, but in any case, the plumbing is usually within the city limits and especially in something that's made of stone, in a building made of stone like the church is that you'll see later. That'll have plumbing, but plumbing not like advanced as we have it now, but just, hopefully not lead pipes, uh, maybe even wooden pipes. I've seen some really cool stuff on Reddit about wooden piping, which was done in some place in the world. And it was really cool, but I'm sure probably there's different issues with that as well, depending on the weather, right? So here he is, he's in an outhouse for a tannery. So he's in the town. He burst into a tannery where they, tan the skins of animals and stuff to sell the leather. But let's move on. All right. Exiting the privy, the battle mage found a barrel of water nearby, not water for drinking, but rather for cleaning the sweat from his palms and brow accrued in the hot box of an outhouse. There's the word. Ah, if only he could have a glass of cold beer to wash away the memory entirely. Is that a thought? Ah, if only he could have a glass of. Yeah, I think that's a thought, so I should make that italicized. But if only I could have a glass. That's what it should say. If only I. Oh, my keyboard, my Bluetooth keyboard is not connected. There we go. I wrote I twice. Come on. If only I could have a glass of cold beer to wash away the memory entirely. That's perfect. That is an edit, guys. I've edited my story in front of you. This is draft 3. I've got draft 2, and I've got draft 3 in another program. So whatever I change here is not, I'm not gonna like lose my other. Like maybe this wasn't a thought, and it was just the description from the author to the reader. But I like it as a thought. If only I could have a glass of cool beer to wash away the memory entirely. Perhaps when all is said and done, but first the business. So I don't know if I want to continue that as a thought. You know what, I should copy this. I'm going to go ahead and copy this live streams. How do I do that? I think I already copied it. Let me see if I can. Yeah, there it is. I'm going to copy this to, how do I do this? I don't want it to show up on my stream. So if something happens and someone's watching, you can let me know by text. How about we do that? I'll let my friend who's watching me message me if he sees if I'm doxing myself, then I'll end and edit the stream and just upload it as a standalone video instead, because I definitely don't want to do anything like that. I've seen some other live streamers do things like that on accident, and it's hard to go back from that. So, actually, you know what? I don't even have to do that. I have my phone here, so I can just share the live stream. If I go to my YouTube app, will it let me copy the URL here? It says, yeah, I can share it and copy the link. Okay, that's cool. I can just send that to whoever and hopefully maybe get a couple other people watching and enjoying. If not enjoying, then at least condescending. I don't really care if people watch or not, but it is really kind of fun if more people are involved. And it says in the story, let's keep reading while I do this so I don't bore the crap out of you guys. Ahaha, bore the crap out of a little bit of fun there. All right, perhaps when all was said and done. So what I want to do here is make sure that this isn't part of a thought. Not water for drinking, but rather for cleaning the sweat from his palms and brow accrued in the hot box of an outhouse. Now that is definitely description from the author, but where does the thought begin and where does it end for Boris? What can I say? If only I could have a glass of cold beer to wash away the memory entirely. I guess this is a continuation of the thought. I should italicize this second part as well because this is all right. And I can change it later if not. So here's the thought entirely. If only I could have a glass of cold beer to wash away the memory entirely. Perhaps when all was said and done. So when all is said and done, here's a little edit because he's thinking to himself in the moment, which is why it's present tense. Yeah. But first, the business. All right, and that really helps transition from the bathroom situation to what he's supposed to do next. And I like this bit too, where he goes back into the tannery. Boris kept his nose high as he entered the tannery storefront again, gawked upon by a dozen blazing subordinates who halted their work to watch as he passed by with swaying robes and clanking skirt, Now, proud and tall, jauntily walking out the door with not so much as a word of farewell. Nothing could keep the man from his duty at hand, and as no manager was apparently staffing the location, Boris felt no need to pay for his visit with words or coins. The second time I've spoken of coins, although there are zero indications of the denominations or what they're made out of or anything like that. I don't want to get into it too deep in this chapter, although there are other chapters where I do talk about the denominations and what they're made out of. So there's coinage in this world so that people can trade and do business, right? Of course, sheep and livestock of that nature are traded, amongst the lower class because that's really important. But coins are important for cross-continent trading, which is a really big part of this world. There's several continents, there's ships and trading and everything going on. So there's a settled uh, economy and a settled coinage system. And there's gold coins, which I haven't made a name for, just gold coins. Maybe I'll just keep it that way. I'm not sure how deeply I want to get into it because um, at this point, it's just an idea, right? And I don't want to go too far into details that aren't important until I get the actual plot of the story out. So let's continue reading a little bit. I've gone almost an hour now, which is kind of weird. I guess I started at 1:30, right? So if it's not 1:30, 2:30. It says, no, I started at 3. What am I thinking? So it's only 3:30, which is a good, I'm thinking this because I don't want these videos to be too long. Oh, there it is. It's right in the corner of my live stream that I'm streaming for 31 minutes. So I'll continue for maybe 15 or 20 more minutes, and don't feel, pressure to stay and watch or to continue watching the whole thing. I'm just going through the story. I'll go through it in pieces. I've done a little bit editing now, and it's getting to the really good part of the story, which I'm excited to share, and I'm excited to look at again because I haven't looked at this story myself this year at all. I was working on another project or two for NaNoWriMo last year, and I got pretty far in it, and then I scrapped the whole thing. I got like 11,000 words for that one story, and then it's not going to work. So I'm rewriting that again, and that's a really cool story that I want to work on stream. Maybe on Thursdays we'll do that instead of Boris. Yeah, I'm really proud of that story, and that's set in the same world, I guess. The last week I discussed with the stream whether I was going to keep that as a separate thing. But I think if I'm going to spend the time to create a whole world, actually compared to some authors, a whole world is nothing. Some people have their whole galaxy system and everything. And that's cool, but I don't really have the time for that or the notion to create an entire galaxy. So I'll stick with one little planet, right? Like Earth, several continents, and many stories within those continents. But within the contents of those continents, there are stories. And one of the stories I've been working on this year, not so much Boris, but now here I am. Let's keep going. The streets outside were just as he had left them not moments ago, busy and bustling, various peoples about their duties, just as Boris should be. So on he went. On his way he went, boots plodding back up the cobbled street towards the center of town, towards the tallest building in leagues, the chapel. I don't know why we got an extra space here, but the chapel. So I do call it a chapel. That's the word I was looking for, not a church, although it is basically a church. Now, religion plays a huge part in this story and in this world, and I find it really important. Some of the antagonists are religious workers in my world. Not in this story specifically. They are just the catalyst for Boris's tale, but they are very important in the larger project, especially if the larger project continues past a single book. Now, I'm not a published author per se, so I wouldn't think that I shouldn't start out, I read somewhere that I've read many places that writing a trilogy or something as your first project is not a good idea. So I'm going to try, just like my favorite author that exists today and writes today, these days, I'll probably start with a standalone book. Although I've heard a lot of criticism about my favorite author's first book that he published, and I didn't see any problem with it. You know, maybe I'm not an amazing writer, but I thought it was a great story, and I'd like to do that for my first book. But I guess you can't please everyone, right? Some people will be like really nitpicky and find all the little problems. So what are you gonna do? Just do what you want and see what happens, and don't feel too bad. That's my motto, I guess, about writing. Do what you want to do, see what happens, don't feel too bad. Just keep pushing forward. And that's actually a sentiment that I want to express in my stories. People deal with things, that's life, and then they move on, or they don't. And not moving on is a big challenge for some people. Well, it's a big obstacle for some people. No, the obstacle would be the challenge. No, the obstacle and the challenge would both be the problem that they're dealing with. The temptation would be not to move on, to stay and wallow in their pity and self misery and all that. And we'll get into that in another chapter, I guess. Because this guy, he's tall, jauntily walking out into the street on his business. He's not depressed. He's not going to stop for dealing with anyone, even though he's talking about turnips. That's on his mind, but it quickly leaves his mind as he moves forward towards the chapel. And that would be a really good place to stop. I don't think anyone new is watching, even though I posted. You know, this is probably a really bad time to stream because in America, all my friends are asleep. And in Taiwan, where I live, that's why I'm Taiwan Tin, right? In Taiwan, people are probably working at about this time. And that's what I'm going to do here after this video is done. I'm going to go to work online during the pandemic situation here. I'm very happy that I have a job. It's kind of annoying to do online though, but it looks like it's going to be this way for the foreseeable future. So I've bought my nice microphone and I tried it out yesterday with my class. They didn't really seem to notice, but I noticed when I record this video, and I'll notice when I record this video and see how it goes. So that's another thing. I want to record. I'm going to make this short because I want to record it and then look at it all and see what I've done, see how I can improve it, what I can change. I'd like to make a little, like a scenic background that I can change depending on the, so this whiteboard here, which is, so, all right, lots of things to say. First thing is that I'm not going to be in this room forever. This is just temporary, especially during the pandemic situation I'm just renting out this room so that I can do my work in a, you know, a private environment so that it doesn't disrupt my job. And on the second thing, on the second hand, the second thing, on this hand, I've got this echoey room. And on this hand, or I've got this echoey room and I've got this great background, which can be quite useful for projecting images on, which I do during my job, and it's great. But on the other hand, I want to make something, a template for myself that I can use to kind of, you know, leave some, not leave, but to get the popsicle and the challenge. The popsicle. The popsicle. Is that a mistype? The popsicle and the challenge? Ah, I bet you wanted to say obstacle. Did I say popsicle? Because that would be fun. The popsicle and the challenge, I'm going to keep that. So the popsicle and the challenge is that someone would be depressed and not want to move on past their depression. They just want to wallow in the self-pity. I've been there. People are there every day, and it sucks. Boris is not there. He's moving forward, charging forward towards the chapel. Let's read one more paragraph, and it just describes the church a little bit. And then we'll stop there. And I'll talk next time about, hopefully next time I'll have a background, if not this week, maybe next week. All right, the clergy was a tenacious lot, an order of holy men who had set up a sort of temporary government in the time when the kingdom was under attack and the true government was preoccupied. So something is going on in this world. as you might find in a lot of fantasy stories, things are not going well for the local people. Problems arise, uh, cities are burned, creatures exist. So that's what's happening in my story. The people are dealing with a crisis of government, just like the world is dealing with right now. But I thought of this way before even COVID happened. You know, not like it was born in my mind that some country would have problems, but I know that. But it is happening in this world. There's a big issue going on. The government is preoccupied. So there's a king of this continent. Not on every continent there's not a king, but in this continent there is a kingdom. The king and his men are well, his men, his women, his court, his everything, the high upper class. They're all on the other side of a large thing. Canyon. Let's say a canyon, just for now, so I don't spoil the story. They're all on the other side of a large canyon, right? And there's a bridge there, or whatever, but the bridge is blocked or whatever. So the situation is that the people, the middle and lower class, are all separated from the upper class, the kingdom over there. So they're not just preoccupied, they're unable to aid the lower class people. And although they want to, the king wants to help the people, his people, protect them and stuff. He is unable to. So clergy have hired out not hired out, they've hired a battle mage to come and help them with one of their problems. So, but perhaps Boris could aid in this matter, he thought as he stood proudly upon the front stone steps of the chapel complex. A wiry youth had accepted his summons paper and had run off to gather the doormen. Now, I thought, oh no, the wiry youth is someone else. I talk a little bit about who meets him at the door, but it's not the wiry youth. It's not the you know, bellboy, or what do they call a guy who works a young person, not a little boy, a young person who works at a church is called a altar boy, I think. Could be an altar. Well, I guess they don't have altar girls, and that term is used for Catholics, which I don't know. They have their own system. But in my world, it's just like an errand boy, right? So it's an errand boy. I can add that. A wiry youth had accepted his summon paper and had run off to gather the doorman. So there's a doorman and there's an errand boy. I don't name the errand boy. Let's put that in parentheses here. I almost wrote parentheses. Errand boy. Oh, how do you spell errand? Yep, errand boy. So we'll keep that for consideration in draft 4. So I've shown you this part already, so I'll just go ahead and read that, and then we'll be done with our I'll just finish this paragraph. I just said popsicle in my head when you said obstacle. Gotcha. Well, friend, whatever goes on in your head, just keep it going. You're a beautiful person. You've got a lot going on in your life, and blah, 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 good sentiments to you. All right. I'm sorry, it's so hard to switch between chat. Maybe it's good that no one's watching me. Maybe I should just upload videos of myself because I don't want to deal with, I mean, I do want to. I want to interact with people. That's why live streaming is the idea, right? But it's kind of hard to switch back and forth, and I haven't really practiced with it, so I'm going to have to try that. So my friend said he was thinking obstacle, but he said popsicle, and that's all good fun. So thank you for sharing. David, thank you. All right. Anyways, the wiry youth accepted the summons and went to get the doorman. So before, I don't want to go down too far. Ooh, here's the next paragraph. Here's the last paragraph we'll read. While he waited, the battle mage looked back and forth from town buildings to chapel steps. The whole of the place was wooden and rickety, while the chapel seemed to be the only stone building around. This contrast was explained by the difference in the amount of dirt present. The ground just outside the chapel was muddy and rugged, while the steps in the porch of the building were pure gray stone, swept clear of any debris whatsoever, save for what Boris had just tracked in on his shoes. Now I should say boots here, not shoes. He's not wearing slippers or something. All right, finally the doorman arrived, rushing forward in his puke green tunic towards the battle mage on the porch. He unlocked the front door to the chapel and ushered in the arcanist, or the arcanist. Arcanist. Are you an arcanist or an arcantist? Boris is an arcanist. He can get things done. So he's going to go talk to the clergy. This finishes our, we'll put a little highlight here or something. We'll underline this so we can know the last paragraph that we were reading when I come back on Thursday, or I guess not Saturday if that's going to be storyboarding for my other projects, but maybe we can do this project on Tuesday and Thursday until it's done, and then move on to my other current project, which is, I'm really proud of that one too. So I'll probably try to write a little bit of it on stream, but I won't go very far with it because it is an idea that I want to keep to myself. And then I'll go edit some different chapters in this project, and that's what we'll do in the future. And yeah, storyboarding would be fun. I don't exactly know what storyboarding is for fiction, fantasy fiction writers, other than I'm going to be Googling and finding a lot of things that I can just cut and paste and throw on a PowerPoint so I can get my ideas flowing for this story, which I've never done before, and it would be kind of fun to try. So anyways, Taiwan Tim here with you, enjoying this great what am I saying? I got distracted again by the chat. Tim, come on, Tim. It's called Smart Edit. Smart Edit is a program for writing. It's just smartedit.com. Smartedit.com. So that's the software that I'm using now just for this project because I like Scrivener, like I said, and I'll probably use it for my larger project when I purchase it. I wanted to get I think for 1 year there was, or maybe every year it is, but for NaNoWriMo they use it kind of as a motivation to get your word count up is to, if you win NaNoWriMo, then you are able to get like a certificate for a 10 or 20% off discount, or maybe it was even 50% for Scrivener. Scrivener is amazing, at least in its current form. It wasn't when it first came out. I tried it a few years ago. I didn't like it so much, but now it's pretty well figured out, and I like. But this program, Smart Edit, is very similar, and it looks kind of funky with the way that it is. It looks like, 2000, the year 2000 we're writing in right now, but I'll keep it for now with Boris. And thank you everyone for watching, whether you're watching the live stream or you're watching later on in your own time. I guess now would be your own time as well. Please let me know in the comments whether you like the wordplay or not. If you do or don't, just let me know. Throw it at me. I'll take it. I got thick skin. Actually, I don't. I'm very sensitive to criticism. But I do want to hear feedback if you've got some. And throw a like if you want. Subscribe if you want. If not, that's fine. I'll just keep doing these videos, see what happens, and keep writing. That's the main thing for me. Writing, talking as I write, which I really enjoy. Getting my ideas out. I thought of something today for this story, which I would not have thought of if I had not been talking to you phantoms out there. I don't know who you are, where you are, what you're doing, or even if it's anyone. But thank you, David, for joining us today. That'll be it for my live stream. I'll catch you next time. Taiwan, I wanted to have an exit thing, but I don't want to be kind of cliche about it. So what to do? Taiwan Tim out is one. That's what I said last time. Goodbye. Fare thee well, adventurers.